Let's say you're in a relationship right now and it's feeling stale or it's feeling stuck. Well, that's a really good sign that you need to grow and your partner needs to grow. And it's time to like dust off the cobwebs and become a better version of yourself. And you don't need to wait for your partner to be the catalyst for that. You can jumpstart it for yourself. You can go start doing things that interest you. Shift from a negative energy space into a positive, because the people we're connected to, it will pull them up as well. And it will help you understand what you're responsible for versus what they're responsible for. So I do think that there are many different facets to all of our love relationships, right? And I definitely think that the highest is unconditional love. You know, it's I think feeling this sense of wanting peace and joy and for a person to be surrounded by love independent of your role in any of that. I think feeling unconditional love for somebody is the gift in and of itself. You don't even necessarily need to be unconditionally loved back. When we get to that state within ourselves, we have created this nirvana, this heaven within ourselves of being in that energy, of feeling that for another person. It's everything.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting. You've mentioned peace so many times, and I feel peace is so underrated. We think of pleasure, we think of joy, we think of happiness, and we don't really think about peace, even though it's such a beautiful place to live and a beautiful way to live. I think if we sat there for a second and we thought about it and we thought, wait, do I want to be peaceful or do I want to be, something else? I think peace would probably win if we really sat and thought about it. If we thought about the best times in our life, it's when we felt peaceful and still. And that's almost the energy that's needed to connect to that. I think the infatuation, I think the initial attraction, that almost comes as an unpeaceful energy. It's kind of impulsive.
That's such a good point.
Right? It's kind of fast.
It gets your attention,
It gets your attention.
Yeah.
But it's not peaceful. And we then start likening that feeling to being in love or to feeling connected. And when we're peaceful with someone, it almost feels awkward or it feels boring. And it's just because we're not trained to understand the value of peace. But in all the work that you do and all the work that I'm thinking about, it's like, I know that when I'm at my most still and my most peaceful, that's when I'm most connected, when I feel most aligned and centered. Obviously not when you're running around. I'm just thinking out loud about that idea of how people can notice the power of things we've not been trained to notice, right? We've been trained by movies and music to be trained to see speed and impulse and immediacy as attractive and cool and beautiful and powerful. But then if you think about when someone pauses before they speak, like there's so much presence in that, and it's peaceful. When you see someone reflecting or thinking, it's peaceful. When you find yourself feeling sure about something, it's not impulsive, it's peaceful. But we've just not been trained to appreciate peace in that way or stillness in that way. And therefore, when it comes about, it starts to feel boring or complacent or lazy or just kind of a bit awkward, I think, is probably the best word that people experience it through.
I love what you're saying. It resonates so deeply with me. One of the things that I've learned so much about through all the readings and from always being connected with the other side is about how to live in the here and now. And I think that peace is underrated. It absolutely is. And we're not taught to pay attention to it, right? I think our society, our world's like, be aggressive, go out and do this, woo-hoo-hoo. Be noticed, blaze trails. And I think there's great energy around that too, right? Creators and being creative and change agents of the world and doing all that is phenomenal. But all of us are multifaceted within ourselves. And if we don't create space to honor the peace within ourselves, our own beings, we're not going to know how to identify and honor it in our relationships with others, right? And as I've, grown and because every time I read, I'm a student and I'm learning too. I've learned the importance of peace, and that peace comes in a very calm way. Like a lot of times people say to me, how can I tell the difference between psychic information and anxiety? And I say,
that's a great question.
I'm like, well, anxiety is like the opposite of peace,